Hi, okay, so last session of the day. Hope you're ready for my nervous energy. So I'm gonna start with a quick question. So how many of you deal with politics in your organization? Yeah, okay, that one was easy, right? Me too. So as someone who's on the earlier side of her career and has started earlier in her career in product marketing, you're usually dealing with two different tracks: building your career and establishing your place within the organization, and then trying to quickly garner influence as a product marketer. And again, being on the earlier side of her career, that can be tough. You have to build credibility and you have to build it fast in order to get shit done. So with that, some stage setting. So I know we've talked about product marketing's role today and across the past 2 days. So the realm of influence is really marketing, the business, and product and engineering, and then ultimately the customer. So right, with marketing, we're trying to guide them with messaging. So you leverage a different language there. You leverage your marketing speak, understanding their objectives and trying to align with them so that you can get the right messaging out into the market. And then on the product and engineering side, you have to understand the domain-specific knowledge. So for me, I come from a cybersecurity company, and so knowing the security audience is extremely important. And being able to not just consume the information that product and engineering is providing, but also being able to engage with them. I mean, if you want to establish a relationship with product, just being passionate about the space, being able to have a conversation around those specific security topics can be extremely helpful. And then the business, so aligning with sales, making sure that you understand the objectives at the high level and are making your product marketing function work towards those goals. And then lastly, customer voice. So I would say this is twofold. So it's not just being the influential customer voice within the organization, but actually influencing the customer. So I've sat in on sales calls, I've talked to prospects at events, and customers don't always come up to you and say, I need a SIM, I need a sword. They come up to you with pain points. So you can leverage those pain points in your messaging to then influence the customers to choose your product as their solution. So there's also external influence as well as internal influence that you have to manage as a product marketer. So in true narrative form, I'm going to start with the challenges. So for us, if you cannot garner influence within the organization, you're essentially at a stopping point, right? So if you can't have marketing understand the messaging and pull that through the campaigns, then you look disjointed in the marketplace. If you don't have those byways within product, then you don't have the communication and information that you need in order to build accurate messaging. And all of that can lead to low performing results. And I think we saw that in the last case study. You ultimately have execution barriers that impact your ability to create outcomes for the business. So all of this is extremely important and a driver for building influential leadership within an organization. So today I'm going to frame the conversation around a couple principles of persuasion. So a psychologist, Robert Cialdini, built these as shortcuts for decision making. So they're a heuristic that you can leverage in order to build a couple tactics to gain influence quickly within an organization. So the 6 are reciprocity, consistency, social proof, liking, authority, and scarcity. And I'll just outline a couple tactics that I've leveraged in past organizations, but there are 100 ways to skin this. So it really depends on the culture within your organization, the size of your organization, and what you're trying to do. So to kick it off, WIFM, I'm sure we've all used this acronym before. What's in it for me? And I know that starting out my career, this was something I was taught early on, but it's easy to have the concept in mind, a little harder to execute. So for me, I think of a couple different things when I'm trying to present WIFM accurately to an individual that I would like to engage, that I would like their buy-in from. And those include business impact. So how is this going to impact the business? Because ultimately how it impacts the business will reflect their position within the organization. If it impacts it positively, then they could gain status, power, etc. And then continue to highlight those successes. So it's not just about gaining their buy-in at the outset, it's about making sure they understand that them being part of the program, for example, is positive and continues to reap benefits to them. Then there are the individual drivers. So it's tailoring the tactics towards their own needs, their own motivational drivers, as well as making sure that they feel involved in the program. So that means even at a small level, even early on, making sure that their perspective is being pulled into the program and showing that you took that feedback and included them. That gives them investment. And then finally, there's the marketing impact. So there is an impact to our marketing organization, making sure that that is clearly tied to the impact on the business. And then consistency. I'm going to talk about this at two different levels today. So there's consistency of process and then consistency of self. So in terms of consistency of process, it's again, easier to get the buy-in at the outset and maybe not so easy to keep the buy-in throughout. So it's important to do that for two different reasons. One being you would like to execute your program, tactic, etc. to the best of your ability and properly. So you need to make sure that they're going to every stand-up that's required, that they continue to engage throughout. So setting the pace and being clear about the process from the outset and getting buy-in not just on being involved, but on being involved in the process as a whole is important. And then making sure that when you execute using the framework that you have in mind, and that will help you to provide strong results, and it'll create a feedback loop. So if you have positive results from the program tactic, etc., then you know that there's a higher likelihood they'll get involved in the future. And then consistency of self. So in today's age and social media platforms, Instagram is big on this, it's all about branding. And that's, again, establishing a heuristic. So within the organization, people will think of you quickly as, she's a great project manager, she's a great strategist. And you can leverage that in your favor, but it's something you need to be cognizant about, because it's going to happen. You'll have a brand within the organization, a reputation. So playing to it can be very helpful, and also being consistent around it. So there will be a brand at the business level, meaning there will be different organizations that all think of you in a specific way, and then at a peer-to-peer level, your peers will think of you in a certain way because of your interactions. So creating a consistent brand can help you then leverage it in the future. And that is perfectly tied into social proof. So social proof, much like going to a restaurant that has more people, because that's an indicator that there's good food, even though there might be a longer wait time. Social following is similar. So you think that cybersecurity influencer who has 100,000 followers is producing quality content because they have that many followers, and that's an indicator, social proof that they are producing the right content. So social proof is definitely important in being able to gain influence quickly, and you can leverage a couple smaller tactics in order to do this, and it's around soft skills, right? So being collaborative, but it's not just about being collaborative, it's about having a reputation for being collaborative and being visible about your collaboration. So when you take in feedback, you want to make sure that you are communicating that you included the feedback, that you value the feedback, not that you just take it, produce something new based on that feedback and push it out. There needs to be communication byways there. And then quick small wins can be a great way to gain buy-in at higher levels and leverage that moving forward. And then all of this is tied to liking. So liking for me comes at two different levels. So there is the strategic relationships that you want to build, which again help with the buy-in. And then there are the interpersonal relationships that you want to foster. So starting with the strategic relationships, you have alliances that you want to build with those who garner influence already in the company. And for product marketers, if we're cross-functional, then we also want cross-functional leaders to have behind our backs. So that's where we want to build the alliances, but it's also everything shifts, politics change, and it's being cognizant of that ahead of time in order to shift alliances when necessary. And then being clear on the level of investment that someone is putting into a relationship with you. So there are those relationships that'll be bi-directional, and then there are others that'll be unidirectional. And sometimes for strategic purposes, it'll make sense for you to put in more investment into that relationship, but at other times you have to consider whether or not it's worth it for you within the organization. And then at the interpersonal level, there are a few different things that I found successful. One is, again, proving your ability to listen to your peers. So listening is very important, but there needs to be indicators that you've listened and valued their opinion and that you provide that feedback. And then there's effort. So putting in effort to build the interpersonal relationship and doing above and beyond commiserating around work. I know that that can be easy to do, but as an influential leader, we also can help shape some of the culture between these different cross-functional departments. So if you create an atmosphere of negativity by establishing a relationship based on it, it can impact you in the future, especially because that lowers morale and you need to be part of the forcing function to help these parts of the organization work together. And then authority. So I'm not discounting years of experience or title. I definitely think those are important, but I do think that there are a number of other factors that need to work in concert with your years of experience. And for me, that comes down to delivering outcomes. Most people will think of what you've done for them recently. And so delivering consistent outcomes for different parts of the business will help you gain credibility within the organization. I also think product marketing is going to shift more and more towards specialization. So having the credibility within your domain, and that can be anything from taking certifications to just being passionate about it, reading the blogs, listening to the podcasts. That can help you establish authority within that domain as a product marketer. Or gaining buy-in from leaders within the organization can again help boost your authority. And finally, being a thought leader in the space. And we do have a unique position where, like product, we can be speakers at organizations, we can byline articles, we can really know our stuff. So you can leverage that to develop authority within the organization. And then closing on scarcity, which I think needs to be handled with care because scarcity has a little bit of a negative touch to it. So usually I do this in combination with other tactics. So we have only so much bandwidth, and I've used that before to focus on a limited pool of thought leaders, limited pool of SMEs in order to drive scarcity and create motivation. But that is always couched with a number of different aspects of influence. So that would include motivational drivers that are specific to that individual. Where are they in their career? What are they interested in even talking about? Bringing them in early and making sure that they are clearly part of the strategy. And then driving urgency with purposeful timelines. So internal deadlines can be tough because there aren't always external drivers and they can keep shifting, but making sure that you outline a purpose at the outset and then hold to it can really help to create motivation and couch the scarcity. And that's it for today. I know that I moved a little quick, but if you have any questions, please shoot.
Thanks, Natalia. Any questions around influence or strategies you've tried that have worked or not worked for anyone? You guys just want coffee. Great. Thank you,
Awesome.
Natalia.
Thank you.